There's a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. And we've got a very special show for you today. It really is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. But when you have so many people that are interested in being on your show because of this show that we do, it's hard to free up the time. But Brichelle, we have got to just schedule this in, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. It's so important, I think, for us, as we've talked about, to, you hear us interview all these people and all this stuff, but what about our conversations? What's going on behind the scenes? How are we building this? How has this even been created in such a short amount of time to become something that is so much and have it be possible? So we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, the first thing I want everybody to know is there are two websites that I want you to go to, and one is called positivetalkradio.net. That's where all the shows that we have done are housed on audio, and you can find out all about the people that we've had on. And then I also want you to go to kmmedia.pro, which is our business site, which I'm really as equally enthusiastic about as everything else we're doing. But Brichelle, I want to go back to the mists of time, to where this all started, 20 years ago or 23 years ago. And I was doing the show on KKNW. There was no internet. There was no way to keep everything alive. Do you realize that the shows that we're doing now, the show that we did the last half hour, and the show that we're doing right this minute, are going to be up forever?
Crazy you say that. We were just talking about this, and it's been going through my mind, because anybody, anywhere, at any time could find us. It could change their life. It could change their family. It could change literally everything. Because I know it has for me. I know that there's people who might watch this someday and be like, hey, I think I went to elementary school with her. Hey, I remember picking on her. Hey, I think I remember her. And it's like, yeah, that's me, but grown up in a completely different version of who I really am, and being able to find that. But to create the space for everybody else to do the same. And one thing we talk about through the interviews before we do the shows with people, I love, is yes, we're all over. It's everywhere, right? But it is so personal. And we meet people where they're at, right, Kevin?
Yep. Every single one. And I learned this way back when I was doing the show live on KKNW. And we'd be talking about something, and somebody would randomly call in to tell, and because we put out the phone numbers, and they would say, I don't even know what station this is. What station is this? But I was thinking about what you guys are talking about all day, and then I tuned in, and you were there, and you were talking about it. That is how this grows and how the universe works. And I got to tell you, Brichelle, I started the original Positive Talk Radio during the original Iraq War in 2003. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of negativity. There was a lot of, let's go get them, and hate and all that stuff. And now we're doing our new Positive Talk, and again, we're involved in the Middle East again, in a negative way, and it just, I never wanted to buy in. I was told back then, and I'm being told now, you should talk about politics. You should talk about what's going on, and I know that we would have a bigger audience if we did that, but that's not what is in my heart to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's not where the change lies. There's a lot of problems in the world, and there's a lot of things going on, but it starts individually. It starts with us, who we are on our own behind closed doors, who we are to ourselves, and then how it portrays to the world. If we were to individually change ourselves, the world naturally would have to change, because then none of us would be, we wouldn't understand. I mean, we don't understand now, which is not a good point. But you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is, over time, because of the people that I've interviewed, over 3,000 of them or so, um, I've gained some insight into human behavior and who we all are. That because of the team that we have assembled, we've been able to put together these points to ponder that are really, really important, I think, for us to share with people. And our Instagram account is growing like crazy and stuff, because of the content that we're putting up and the quality of what we are saying. Because, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this now or later, this isn't, excuse the expression, this isn't bullshit. This isn't so much of our niche to try and gain listeners, so that this is a heartfelt program from my heart. You knew that from the very beginning, didn't you?
That's why I'm here. I didn't realize how important it was to be heart centered and work alongside and have those people also in your life. I think that's why we struggle so much here in the world, is because we've got a lot of good people, Kevin. There's so much of us that is just these beautiful, glowing, extraordinary hearts within us, that people around us tend to shut down. And that's why I love that you share these things from your heart, because any single one of them has such a good message that is for anybody to involve in their life, really.
Exactly. But sometimes we get caught up in the CNN and the MS Now and the Fox News and the things that are going on there, or YouTube, or the famous social media stuff, and we don't think about what's real and what's honest and how we can live our life in a better way, and we're not doing it for anybody but ourselves. And that, does that sound self-serving?
No, because I mean, think about it. If everybody, for the way this makes me feel is crazy. I can't I can't be fully expressive, you know what I mean? But if everybody were to shut off their TVs, their phones, their what if and nots, and I have this and I have that, and wherever they find validation, all the bullshits that we're talking about, one day, I swear, Kevin, imagine just in the US what that would do. I mean, yeah, some people would go crazy, because who are they without that? But it forces you to not only look at yourself but your life. Go outside and look at the clouds. And like it there's an energy shift when you are able to be that way. And if we all did it at the same time, even for the shortest amount of time, you would see the difference, especially when it was flipped back on.
You're brilliant. Did you know that?
Hey, we should try this. Everybody, can we like come to some sort of terms where, like, yes, you know what? We're all going to come together as a country and we're going to shut down everything. Okay, maybe that's not good, because that's probably already coming. But I'm just saying, we are not our circumstances of what we have and what we do, and that's what we're taught. So to hear from people like us, Kevin, through the way you've created these points to ponder, is outside of the box of that, but in such a realistic way for people to actually be able to understand.
Well, and guess what? I just had an epiphany. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is how we talk.
This
And
is
we'll
normal.
just talk forever this way. But I had an epiphany, because you know what this weekend is?
The time change?
Daylight savings time. So now we're coming out of the darkest part of the year, and it's getting light longer.
Yeah.
Let's use, and I want everybody who hears this now or in the future to think about it. Let's use daylight savings time as a trigger, a positive trigger, to say, It's now daylight savings time. The days are getting longer and my life is getting better. And I'm going to use that metaphor for every day of my life so that when I wake up in the morning and I get to decide what meaning it's going to have, it's going to be daylight savings and daylight time. And it's going to give people, I'm hoping, giving them hope. Does that make sense?
It's genius. Let me tell you why. Because if you miss New Year's, you have daylight savings. Make new goals, make that decision again. Kevin, I think one thing I learned through you and a lot of these points to ponder bring up the whole in your journey of healing, there's going to be setbacks. There's life still happens. Okay. I didn't know that at first. I just, I was like, oh, if I can control everything, it's going to be so good. But no, I don't control everything. I only control me. And that was hard to come to terms with because when I started to realize that I was slacking or maybe had more awareness of things that needed attention or to be changed and worked on within myself, it kind of felt like that all the time. Every day I was waking up, it's like, okay, even though yesterday or the last week or month or however long, then today's the day. We're just starting over. And we give, so I realize that we do these things to ourselves and little things. I want to know if you've ever done this. Like, let's say it's Thursday and I'm going to start something new. I'm like, oh, I can't start that until Sunday. Because that just makes sense. You got to start a new, you know what I mean? And then Monday comes. And then Tuesday comes. And then shit. Okay, you know what? Just kidding. We're starting over. It doesn't, I realize that it doesn't have to be such a, we try to make it like this event thing. No. Right now, just that's it. It's just literally that simple. And it's frustrating to realize it sometimes.
It is, and sometimes we just need a little reminder that we are all born great, and we can live great if we choose to. So one of the things that we are doing with Positive Talk, and going back to the original, it was on the radio and then it would disappear. Now they're up forever. We're going to play some of the points to ponder that mean a great deal to us because of how resonant they are with the human experience and how we can all benefit from them. So, Brichelle, our team is fantastic. They've helped us put them together. And what would you like to play first?
I think there's so many of them that we have that could be used as a starting point. But I'd like to know, do you remember the first one that you did?
No. Now you're asking me to remember prior to last week. And
I've got it available. Can I?
You may.
Okay, everybody, enjoy this. Really listen and just take a moment to absorb these words, and then we're going to chat about it a little bit.
Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. In a dark room, a single candle was lit. That tiny flame chased away the shadows, filling the space with hope. Your courage, your kindness, and your light may seem small at times, but it can change someone's entire world. Never underestimate the power you already carry inside. Even the smallest flame can ignite a fire that transforms lives. You are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. I love that one. Do you know why I love that one?
Tell me.
Because you can be that candle that lights the room and chases away the shadows, and you can do that anytime you want.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a hard concept for us when we're comfortable in the dark. I mean, I was.
You are now in your interactions with people every day, and you can see it in their faces. You're different. You're now that light, and you are lighting a flame underneath more people all the time. And that's really what our human experience is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I had to light my own flame first. And I didn't know I could do that. I was waiting for somebody or something else to spark it. And you know what's crazy about this whole opening up to yourself is sometimes you don't know why and you're okay with it. Like, I don't know, or you don't know how, maybe, because I don't remember when that was sparked, but I remember when I saw the light.
And the light became really important. And we've already got somebody on. Can you pronounce his name, please?
I believe it's Nahid. Hello. Thank you for joining us in. I hope that you're enjoying the conversation, and stay tuned because we have a lot of these points to ponder, and we're continuing to make more, Kevin. I think that the more that we do these, there's so much, there's just so much good to give. And when you light the flame and you see that you can create the light in the darkness, and then you start to actually do it, it does something different to the people around you too. I mean, you had to have seen that, right? Because we always talk about me seeing it.
Oh, absolutely. And see, my journey started with the words, why am I here? And what am I here to do?
Yeah.
And that opened up a whole world for me. And it's been magical really ever since. I consider myself the luckiest man alive.
You know what's insane is that was what our spark was. That's what sparked it. The flame could only exist after that point. Therefore, that's where the spark was created. If you hadn't asked that question, there wouldn't have been a flame for there to be light in. And I think for me, what's crazy is my moment, my question, or my statement was, I give up. I give up.
Yeah.
I quit trying to I see, I can't even find the words for it, but you know what I mean.
Well, and let me play this because I created this for you.
Okay.
Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A woman spent years hating the reflection in her mirror. One day, she whispered, I am enough. Day by day, her reflection became her friend. Self-love begins with the words you tell yourself. Speak gently because you are listening. This is brought to you by Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. Do you remember the day that I gotcha. Do you remember the day that I told you, go look in the mirror and go talk to yourself, and what do you see?
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you asked that, because I have to ask you, why is that so it like it wasn't just hard, it was uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah.
I can't really describe it.
Well, when you look in the mirror
It
and
was
you
differently though. I wasn't just like, I looked at remember when I told you that I looked at myself in the mirror and finally saw all of me, not just the parts that I wanted to, and all of these things that had happened in my life that I maybe thought about in somebody else's world, like, oh, that happened, that happened, that happened. You know, I talk about it, but I didn't take, I don't want to say identity for it, but I didn't attach it to me and give myself the acceptance that it was. And that's when it hit me, because that's when I actually saw me. So go ahead. Sorry.
no, and that is absolutely correct, because you saw yourself and maybe saw yourself for the first time.
Yeah. Like when I was a kid and I used to play in the mirror, you know, and it was like curious.
See, and when we're children, we don't think about, oh, I've got a zit, or I've got a little double chin forming, or we don't think in
Even
terms
if they ask why, right? A kid will ask you, why do you have that on your face? You'll tell them, oh, okay.
yeah.
Hey, cool. Glad we talked about it.
They don't care. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I have on my right arm, I have two birthmarks that are back to back. They're right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to not be willing to take my shirt off because even when I was playing sports and we did, like playing basketball, we did shirts and skins. So you would always have to be a shirt, by the way. But when we did that, I never wanted to be a skin because I didn't want people to notice, to see me and to see the birthmarks on my arm. And then they would say, "What is that?" And instead of me saying they're birthmarks, they're like no big deal, I took it as a reflection of me as a human being because I had siblings that also made fun of them, and stuff. So
Is
go ahead.
that why we do that to each other? Is because that's what we're doing to ourselves? Because think about it. I learned when I remember you were explaining to me, I was telling you all these thoughts about, you asked me, what do you think people think of you? Like, what do you think they think? And I was telling you all these things, and you're like, okay, how do you know that's true? And
Yes.
I could have run through like 10,000 brick walls with just my head. Like, what are you actually saying right now, dude? Like, I'm going to just have to tie you up because you just don't get it. But that was the whole point, is exactly what you said. So I think that we do that to ourselves. We think these things of ourselves, therefore other people think that. Or we think they think that, so it must be true. And then there's the other side of that. Well, did you talk to that person? Did you talk to yourself? Did you question why you thought that that may have been true? And then how is that handled? The way that we communicate with ourselves, we do with other people. When I would try to talk to other people and learn communication, how you were telling me, giving me all these tips and tricks, and I started to talk to my normal people inside my life day to day a little differently, I realized that I wasn't true to me because the way I was trying to be with other people wasn't who I was in my head. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And by the way, that leads us to another point to ponder, which I think is really an important one, because we look at our imperfections as imperfections, something to be ashamed of. But in reality, here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. Our scars are not signs of weakness, they are maps. Proof of the battles we faced and the roads we survived. Each scar tells a story. Each mark whispers of resilience. Don't hide them. Wear them as a reminder that you are still here, still breathing, still becoming. You are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope live. I love that one.
Me too. Me too. And I loved that you brought up the pimple thing. I will be so vulnerable and authentic. And I'll tell you, if you meet me out in public somewhere and you recognize me and you think you have your version of me, right? I know what it's like to look at someone and be like, oh my gosh, if I could just look like her, then I'd have no more issues. And I know that I think that other people probably think that of me, but I have acne. I have dry skin. My hair is sometimes just a disaster. Sometimes I don't match my clothing. I am human. And if you ever get the chance to meet me, I love you already. Please do come and say hi. I know that some people may recognize me now. I'm starting to see. Don't be afraid. Come and say hi to me. I'm not gonna bite you unless I love you that much. But Kevin, we shield ourselves with the versions of what we think, and then the world reflects that naturally, and we fight it. Like, I don't understand.
One of the people that have taught me such things is Linda McCartney, because Paul would say, Linda would wear socks that didn't match.
Mm-hmm.
And she did it on purpose because other people would go, oh man, she's wearing socks that don't match. Did she get dressed in the dark? Or no, she did it on purpose because she was letting people know about her humanness and that it was okay. And she took devilish delight when people would point out she was wearing socks that didn't match.
Yeah, my OCD could never let me do that because what the hell's going on here? I am uneven. But I thought that to myself. Remember, Kevin, we talked about that. Like, what if you just actually I did do it. I did do it, and it was very empowering. I went out in my sparkly high top heeled cowgirl boots, people, and a skirt and a shirt that I never thought I would wear, but I loved on me, and I felt like me. It wasn't this, oh, I gotta hide, oh, whatever. It I still struggle with that exact thing. Like, yes, I had a reason to do that, but would I do that without reason? Like, did I just decide today I was going to wake up and remember that I had free will and stand on top of my counter? Probably, but then nobody could see me. And even I still feel that about, like, oh, I can't be seen like this, or I can't do that, or I am not in the position to have that conversation with that person right now. And we put these barriers in place that I understand we're trying to protect ourselves, but I also know that it's because of what other people have going on in their mind. So maybe I need to go out in my sparkly cowgirl boots when it's snowing and it makes no sense, and go buy my groceries like I just came from some fashion queen show, because why not? I mean, it might be liberating.
And
This
it
feels like that.
would be when you get to the point when you can legitimately and honestly say,
I
it's
don't.
none of my business what you think of me.
It's hard to do.
Then
It's hard to do,
it,
Kevin.
oh, it's very hard to do. And a matter of fact, we have our regular listeners back.
Hi, I love you. Hi, Dad. He says it's always good to take time to unplug, take a deep breath, zoom out, touch grass, and reset. It really helps bring in the love for yourself and helps regenerate our true energy. Can I tell you something, Kevin? I never thought my dad would ever speak like that. Like, I don't know who we are, but go us, Dad. I love you so much. And for him to be in this energetic, he wakes up and does yoga at 4 a.m. because it's good for him. That's discipline, and I'm still working on it.
Well, and he also has Michael J. That's Michael Jackson, or Michael Jordan. Started with Michael Jackson, with a man in the mirror. It's a great message he left us to follow.
I listened to that this morning.
Oh, very cool. Because, and that's the thing is that life is what we make of it. And if we wander around in fear of what the other is going to think of us, then we live less freely. Don't you think?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why, because I've recognized moments where there was people maybe out in public that were crying. Like, I think about those things, right? It's deeper than what do you look like, but what do you feel like that is showing when you see somebody angry, when you see somebody sad, when you see a mom stressed, but her kids are so thrilled to just be alive, so they're running circles around her in the cart in the whole aisle. And just the way that we have control of viewing it, but I think it's not having control of other people and things that it's okay for that to be frustrating, right?
Sure. Well, especially when, well, let's dissect the mom with the kids that are running around. It's because the kids are being disrespectful both to the mom and also to the other people who may not be interested in having their loud little obnoxious selves running around their cart, and they might run into things and stuff like that. So I get it. And that's part of being human. But at the same time, we give them grace as best we can and give the mom grace as best we can.
Yeah, I mean they're kids, they're gonna make noise. She is literally just trying to get food for them and keep herself alert the whole time. And in situations where I've been the one who, like recently, when they took my eyebrows off and I had a complete come apart and I didn't, it altered who I thought I was completely. Like to a point that was, women will understand, men would be like, you're literally just dramatic. But it wasn't just about what had happened. It was how I felt about myself and how I knew that I got to choose if I believed that. And it was very frustrating for me, Kevin, because I didn't want to go in the store because I didn't want to be that person crying. And, like the more that you just are, the more you realize how much time you were spending dissecting other people and what was going on with them rather than just being who you were. Because it's in those moments when people see you and notice you and reach out, or, there's a memory that's created. Do you know what I mean? Where I'm kind of going with this?
Yeah, we can keep going. You're doing good, girl.
Well, I'm thinking about it from the perspective as if I was at the store and I was crying and you don't know what I had just went through, you maybe just think that this is an ordinary day and I'm having a hard time, like whatever it is, however we view somebody else going through something, but also how that reflects on us. I'm trying to break it down in the sense of, we spend more time trying to judge someone else and criticize it in our minds than either helping them or moving along. And so we create all these little chunks and gaps of bullshit that literally have not a damn thing to do with us. Like that one thing that will happen that just alters your entire day. And I speak on this because I struggle with it. I still have that in me that is maybe have thoughts worried about what does that person think and how is that affecting them, and how am I to myself. But the way that you are to yourself also has to continue to grow and change, and you have to keep re-accepting the growth and the mistakes that you're making. And I think we think that it's just okay, it's that one time, it's this all or nothing. But that's where it fills in those gaps, because when you're focused on you, you're not creating those gaps for other people either. Do you know what I mean? I feel like everything I just said in the last 5 minutes doesn't make sense.
It absolutely makes perfect sense.
Okay.
But one of the things is that because one of the things you said that I want to touch on is that we all make mistakes. Why do we treat ourselves so harshly when we make a mistake? Because there are 8 billion of us here. There's nothing that you can't do that hasn't been done far worse by somebody else.
You know why, Kevin?
Why?
Because when we start to have that recognition of those mistakes, the first thought that comes through, I've heard this from more than just my own brain, is, why didn't I know better?
Because you're not perfect. Unlike Mary Poppins, of course, who's perfect, practically perfect. Practically in every way. But it's part of the learning journey. If you haven't experienced something and then you make a mistake while you're doing that, that's not something to be sad about. That's something to actually celebrate, to laugh about, because now, how often have you said, oh, that was kind of stupid, I'm never going to do that again?
Yeah, it's natural. That's what I mean is, okay, that's the point, is when you stop looking at other people in the world like that, you stop seeing that as yourself. You stop carrying that I'm less than for whatever reason around, or, how you'll meet those people who are different with other people that they're with. Like, not to say we have to put on different hats with different people, of course, but like people who are not the same person in many different ways, shapes, or forms. And it's why they don't internally know who they are. So everything outside is deciding that for them. But when you decide that for yourself, it doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't break you. Yes, it can shift you. Holy shit, can it shift you? It might move you a little bit, you know, it might crumble your path and you might learn how to re-brick the damn thing underneath your feet while you're standing on it. But I think that's what I've realized for myself is that's what broke it is me.
Is it kind of like the reason a chameleon is a chameleon? They do it for self-protection, so that the animals that are around them that would love to eat them won't see them, so they change colors. We as humans do that based upon the people that we are around, so that we'll be accepted by those people, whether or not they're good people or not. Is that true?
That is so good. And because on the other side of that, think about all the other existing things that don't do that. They are broad, they are beautiful, they're vibrant, they're colorful, they are out of the ordinary. Would you rather have somebody who can just shape shift into whenever they feel like it, or somebody who stands in who they are and shines through that? Like, that is so much more precious to me.
Oh, and when you stand on your integrity, that is a really, really big deal, because so many of us base our integrity on the circumstances that we are surrounded by, and we shape shift our own integrity standards, which is why we created this. Here's another point to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. What is the easiest thing to justify? It is a small transgression. The one no one will ever see, no one will ever know. The tiny exaggeration on the expense report. The extra minute you took on your lunch break. The packaging you tossed in the wrong recycle bin because it was closer. In those moments, the question isn't, will I get caught? The question is, will I know? It isn't about avoiding punishment. It's a silent agreement you make with yourself when you choose to do the right thing. To return the wallet. To fix the mistake. To respect the empty space. You aren't impressing the world. You're earning your own respect. That small choice, made entirely in private, is how you build a life you never have to look away from. The only audience that matters is you. You know,
Kevin, I have a question. I beat you. I just jolted myself in my chair. I have to ask you something, because I just realized it. We are telling people all the time, you can be and create anything that you want. What is... You've told me this before, and I want to be able to pull the same thing out in you. I know it will come out eventually, but you told me something that I can't remember word for word. That's why I need you to say it. And you said, you can be anything. You can have anything. But remember this. What was that?
Oh boy, now you're going to tax me.
I want you to think, here's why I want you to think about it, is because I could imagine me hearing this, approaching this from my past self, right? That didn't understand any of this. She thought it was nonsense. If I had been coming into this world and maybe I was still a little bit angry, and yes, I hear us talk about putting it in a positive perspective and all of this and that, but in the same way, I think it's so important that we do talk about how dangerous it is that as good as it can be, you can create that negative. Whether you're doing that already right now, or whether you decide to make the decision. I know that there's somebody out there that's been like, oh, they're right. I can do whatever I want. I can be whoever, but there is boundaries and there is limits, because repercussion of that is a real thing, people.
And you just said it. And part of that piece, it says you're earning your own respect.
Yes.
Because how many times do we make a decision, tell a white lie, or to pick up that when the cashier, here's a good one. When the cashier gives you the wrong change and you've got $10 more, and rather than thinking, if I had any integrity at all, I'd tell her that she gave me the wrong change, because at the end of the day, she's going to come up short, and it may come out of her pocket to fill the bank so that so it's going to cost her that. And we have the ability to have integrity. Now, you were going to say something inspiring.
I am going to be so honest with you and everybody who hears this. That exact thing I was tested with yesterday with my arch nemesis right now is who's so great. I'm having a problem with my neighbor. We all know what that's like, and you can make it. You decide how it is. Oh my God, have I learned? Because the way I want to react out of the way that I feel is definitely not how I've handled the situation. But let me tell you, Kevin, that same thing happened to me yesterday, and that moment felt so good inside of me for myself when I realized my integrity mattered more than proving a point or whatever the hell it was, having control. There was a wallet in the hallway walking down the stairs. I noticed who it was. Internally, you know, all the things, right? I'm like, well, I'm not going to say anything, and I could do this and I could do that, but I'm not going to blah, 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 blah. And I didn't. I'll tell you, I didn't do what I knew I should have. I had no integrity. But then I got in the car with my friend, and we're driving to go get a drink, and it's literally eating me. My stomach is hurting. I'm having heartburn. It's just like irritating me because that's a big deal. Like a wallet, you know, it's you didn't drop a loaf of bread. Like everything that is most sacred to you and your finance of life is probably in that thing. And so I quit fucking fighting whatever was happening inside of me. We might have to blur that out, but I can't control it because it was so important for me to have that inside of myself. I sent him a text and I said, hey, I was just going down the stairs in a hurry, and I think I saw what may have been your wallet in the hallway. I never got a response. I did not see the wallet. I don't know what happened, but I knew how ugly that karma could have been if I wouldn't have had that moment to say my integrity mattered more than how I was feeling.
And the reality is that when you sent that text and you were now in integrity with yourself, you felt much better about it, didn't you? About yourself.
So much, because I thought, what if I lose something recently coming up in the future? And that's paid forward back. I can't, you know why it's so exciting is because I know somehow that's going to show back to me. And I don't know how, but I am already so excited and thankful that I made that decision for my future self. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And also you're trusting that good things are going to come from it. Now, you may not recognize when that happens, but if you do, it's even better. Congratulations. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. It felt really good, and especially we talk about these things with people, right? That could have been something for me to use to talk about with my friends that night, to engage. Well, guess what I did? He this and this and that. Well, I got even, or I did this and I did that. And that's why I brought up how important it is to have there be boundaries when you do have free will and you can be whoever you want to be, and why you do that. Because when you take the control that you do have and turn it into a negative form, it only sits within you. It never really does anything that's worth it outside of you. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And I need to share this with you, because when I was growing up, I grew up in Missouri Synod Lutheran Church, very conservative. Their idea of why you should do the right thing was because if you don't, you're committing a sin. And if you commit a sin, you're liable to go to hell. And it's because of the negative judgment that you're going to stay on the straight and narrow. I'm here to tell you, it is. I was a little kid going, I don't want to go to hell. But that's not how it works.
Mm-mm.
If you have integrity with yourself, you innately know what doing the right thing means. I often tell the story of when I was a restaurant manager and the place got robbed in the middle of the night. The safe
Mhm.
was opened, and they made all of us take a lie detector test. And one of the first question that he asked every one of us was, "Have you ever stolen anything from work?" And after the test was over, I asked him, that question, why was that he said that is a test question because everybody has stolen something from work at one point or another. It can be a pencil, it can be a piece of paper, it can be whatever it is, because everybody has done it. So now if you lie and say, oh no, I've never done that in my entire life, I would never take anything from work, it will register as a lie, and that becomes your test question of the entire thing, because they know
Yep.
innately that and even if you have never consciously taken anything from work, you can't say I've never done it because you might not remember it, or it may not be
Maybe
something.
you took some drama home that wasn't yours.
That's exactly right. Or you
Mhm.
took somebody else's lunch, or which I've seen. Why I don't understand why people do that. They get into
That's, I mean, if you're at a restaurant, honey, just eat something. Tell someone you're hungry.
well, some people will. When I was working for the bus company, and we'd get messages. Somebody who said, "Who took my lunch out of the refrigerator?" It's like, there are people wandering around. They're going to take food that they didn't make, and they don't know if it's any good or not. And they're going to steal it and then eat somebody else's lunch. That is just friggin' gross. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a little concerning. But also think about the person who that happened to and how they handled that situation and how that reflected on them. And I've been kind of talking to a lot about, I tie this into integrity a lot. And I know we have one of our points to ponder that is a letter. And I thought about that in a different version. And I'd love to play it because I want you people to hear this from your own perspective, not just from how we are portraying it, but from your own view, because integrity ties in when you realize that later on, how you choose to react or respond or like all the 9 yards, what would your older self come back to you and say? You know, where, how does that tie in? What is your older self looking at you? What would you do different if you could go back? So I think that helps me with my now, and how it keeps us progressing in a positive way, because sometimes it can get negative.
And if you're watching this, and I'm going to play the letter now, but if you're watching this, you will see just how good our audio video team is. Because if you look at the letter that he puts down, it is exactly what is he says in the piece, and they created that in real time. It's magical. So if you're watching this, look at the letter that he puts down, and we're going to play this right now. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A soldier received a letter from his child while overseas. It said, "Daddy, I miss you. Please come home safe." That letter gave him the courage to keep going. Words have power, and the ones you speak today may be the lifeline somebody needs tomorrow. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope live. That is an amazing piece.
It is. We need to play that one more. I just, it is true. I mean, I think about, you know, how we all have our little quotes and our little sayings and things like that. Those are those letters to ourselves every day that we don't realize. All the things you've told me to write on my mirror, that the whole strip of my top of my mirror is just dirty because I won't wash it off. But those are the things that I'm believing and that my subconscious is paying attention to. And a lot of what I've learned here with you, Kevin, that has been so frustrating, and why I bring that up is because your conscious and your subconscious are very different things, and your subconscious is the most powerful thing on this earth. I'm not lying. Look it up. The most powerful thing in the universe is the subconscious mind. And to be able to, like, what's crazy about that, Kevin, is we don't realize when those subconscious things change until they're in that play, and all you start to see, oh, what I've been seeing that on my mirror all this time, it's playing out. And so, it brings me back to our focuses and what we are saying, those little things that we just say, or the little comments that we make, or the little bit of time we spend going down a rabbit hole on something online, and how that is really affecting our subconscious, and we don't even know it.
And thank you for bringing that up, because I don't know, when I was younger, I can't tell you how many times that I would say, "Oh, that was so stupid," or
Mhm.
"You are so dumb,"
Yep.
or "If you only lost 10 pounds, you would be a lot sexier," or the things that we tell ourselves. Not only are they incorrect because they're the stories that somebody else has told us,
Mhm.
but we believe them then. That's why language is so important.
It is so important, because then those people that are around us hear us tell ourselves that, and then they absorb it. And do they realize it? No. Do we? No. It just happens.
Well, and when we're self-deprecating and we're in the company of somebody else and they don't disagree with you, then you're validating your subconscious. Oh, well, I am pretty stupid because they didn't say, "Oh, no, you're not stupid." They agreed with me. I must be really dumb then.
Yeah, and it of course it's in multiple things that allow that to build on itself, but I even think about how often, like, one thing that I am so passionate about recently, I'd love to share, is what do you say in public? When you leave your house and you decide you are however you are, and you say and do whatever you do because you can, are you respecting yourself? Are you showing people that you respect yourself and expecting to get respect in return from that? Because, Kevin, I hear people go out, teenagers specifically, but of course they're teenagers. But I've been standing in line recently at the store doing something, and there's been children around while adults are having conversations that make me want to just, like, go and take the kid outside and go play with them or something, because and I'm not talking about even negative things in the world, but how you feel about yourself. I was listening to the way that these two girls in front of me were talking about a situation that happened on a date with one of them. And there was a little boy standing behind me to his mom, who was just in the gap, who was listening to them and how they were talking about how they viewed boys and how they thought about themselves. And they're putting things into his mind that didn't need to exist. And sometimes when we have this, that's why I'm just so focused on making sure that people are respecting themselves when you decide you're going to be whoever you're going to be, because it really does affect other people, and it always comes back to you.
Oh, totally. And if you are making decisions that are contrary to what you know in your heart, you should be, or you could be doing, if you were doing the right thing, and you're allowing yourself to have the indignity of not doing the right thing, I can't do it. To me, that's hell on earth.
Yep. It is. It is. It's your hell that you created. And I want to flip this. I want to completely flip this conversation, Kevin, because on the other side of that, me and Kevin are not saying to sit here and stress or worry about every thought and everything you say and all the in between, because guess who that happened to? Me. I came to Kevin and I said, you made me insane. Because now I'm just so, it was just so much. Everything was so much and so tight around me with myself because I was so afraid of not being afraid, I want to bring up that flip side because we don't have a point to ponder necessarily about grace yet, but to give yourself.
We'll do that one this weekend.
Yes, I know you're working on that. So when we come back, keep in mind, people, we're going to be doing this a lot more often. So that will come about. But I was just thinking about rock bottom, the sunrise, and the storm all kind of tell this story of, yes, you do have to have that awareness and the acceptance and the forgiveness and all those things, but it doesn't have to be something that's so hard every day. Kevin, I want you to speak on this as we close out because I made it so hard for myself to go through the change because of how uncomfortable and upset I was about, or maybe passionate about what I know needed to be done. And it made it actually a lot harder rather than easier to get through my day. So I'd like you to, as the sun is shining upon me, I'd like you to, when we come back from this, share with people what you shared with me about remembering that it doesn't have to be so intense.
And we're going to play them back to back to back. Can I do that?
Okay. Yeah, please do.
Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. One man lost everything he thought to find him. His job, his marriage, even his confidence. At rock bottom, he realized the one thing no one could ever take was his will to rise again. Sometimes life has to break us open so we can discover the strength we never knew was inside. Remember, your lowest point is not the end. It can become the very foundation of your greatest comeback. And you are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A sailor in a storm once battled waves so fierce they nearly sank his ship. He discovered storms, they don't last forever, but strong sailors do. Life will shake you, test you, and even try to break you. But if you hold steady and keep moving forward, the skies will clear, and when they do, you will see how powerful you have become. You are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. After the longest night, the sun rose again. It painted the sky with colors no one had seen before. That's how life works. Darkness never lasts forever. No matter how long the night feels, your sunrise will come. Hold on. Light always finds its way back. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope live. And as we close out, what did you want me to say? Talk about again?
Well, just to simplify it, sometimes, Kevin, I used to be so hard on myself because I couldn't find the words, or, we stutter and we sometimes don't know what we're even trying to say. But as I wrap my mind around it, going through those is really giving ourselves, I know we talk about it all the time, but seriously, the grace and the patience to not be so intensified by the awareness that we do gain in trying to change our reality. Because I noticed for me, it locked me up. All of a sudden I couldn't do anything, and I didn't know what to feel, and I didn't know what to think about, rather than just doing and accepting throughout the day 100 times over and over and over again that it's okay. It can be hard to not try to change everything all at once. You know what I mean?
And that's why we played integrity. And this has worked out just the way it's supposed to, which is we played integrity. Mm-hmm. And then we play the fact that the storm will come in your life and you'll hit rock bottom at one point in your life. But there is the sunrise, and it's the beginning of a brand new day. The reality is, if you live in integrity and you try and do the right thing, and you consciously think to yourself, I want to do the right thing, then all the mistakes you make, which you will, because we're human, the mistakes you make will be of commission, not omission. Does that make meaning? And I guess what I'm trying to say here is that the mistakes that you make are correctable because you're working to do the right thing. If you don't believe that you need to do the right thing to get the cashier the right amount of the change, or to pick something up, or when I was driving the bus, Brichelle, I would go to a bus stop and there would be a guy. Remember, you know the 7-Eleven big gulps
Yeah.
that are like 32 ounces of big gulp, and I would stop the bus, and this guy, he was in the bus shelter. He had his drink. He took a drink from his drink, and then he walked right by the garbage can and he dropped it on the ground. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And
He did it on purpose.
he didn't give a crap that somebody else was going to have to pick that up. So he was not living in integrity. So what did I do? I stopped the bus, put the brake on. After he paid it, I got off the bus and picked up the big gulp and put it into the garbage can. And then I got back on the bus, looked at him, shook my head, and then...
You know what I would have asked him is, was that worth wasting money on to prove that point? You said he took one drink of the damn thing and then did that? Like,
Yep.
and he's not proving it. That was my point earlier, is he's not proving that to anybody but himself. It's all for him.
And Brichelle, and that's what I want to impress upon everybody is you're doing everything for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you are all there is.
It's so important too, because I love that there's people like that. I do, because then what would it teach us if we didn't have that? When we get to go around and start to see, like for me, I see other people who embody who I used to be. And I'm like, oh man, like that sucks, and that's your choice. And I chose the other way around, and I'm still doing it every day. It wasn't just this flip of a switch, but it's in those moments. Like, I think that was important for you to say, because you don't have to focus on every single second of the day and be so worried about it, but you also don't just let everything go. Just be like, I don't think we know what that's like.
No, and I've got one more story for you. And I was driving the bus, and it was a 60-footer, and it's got a front door and a back door, and that's the articulated one. And there was a guy in the back end of the bus, and he was standing there with a 16-ounce beer in his hand.
Nice.
Now, first of all, you're drinking alcoholic beverages on a bus is not allowed, and it's not legal. So he was already out of integrity with himself. And so I stopped the bus, and I got on, and I said, excuse me, this is the bus driver. You that's in the back holding the beer, you've got to leave the coach now. And I opened the back door. So then what did he do? He threw the beer the can out onto the sidewalk, and then said, I don't have the beer anymore. Now you can go. So he was now out of integrity with himself, not me. I didn't really give a crap.
And he embarrassed himself.
He embarrassed himself, and he spent the money for the beer and had to throw it away, and he threw it away and
then tried to lie about it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like, really? Are you really going to go down that road?
Kevin, I'm glad you said that, because closing this out, I want everybody to hear, we've been talking about, all of the inside stuff and with yourself, but when it does start inside, you recognize how much you can do outside of yourself and how you can create that change just by just by how you are. If you see somebody struggling at the grocery store, to step outside of your way and help them. If you see somebody who's trying, or maybe somebody comes to you and tries to engage in something negative, to just be like, you know what, I really don't have the time for this right now. Can we talk about it another time? Or there is a lot of the stuff on the outside that we could just stop for a single second and say, how do I want to handle this? What am I going to make of this, rather than it being this big picture of life and your whole future? And it's the little things day to day, because as you take care of yourself, you start taking care of other people. It feels really, really good. And
it really does. Now I don't recommend anybody do this, because it can get you in trouble. Because when somebody's out of integrity and they get caught in it, they can get angry. But many times I'll open the door for somebody and they'll just go through and they won't say a thing. And then I'll say, "Oh, you're welcome." Just like that. "Oh, you're welcome." And sometimes they'll turn around and say, "What the hell are you saying?" And then they get angry, because when you're out of integrity, and you know you're out of integrity, and you get called on being out of integrity, then you can get angry, because that's the only response you have left.
Of course. Kevin, there was something like that on the news. There was these ladies at a grocery store, and one of them held the door for the other, and she didn't say, I think it might have been a guy, but she didn't say thank you. And she was grabbed by her shirt, pulled back through the door, and the door was shut on her. And in so many ways of our life, we do that to ourselves. That's why I always talk about, it kind of starts with you, because everything that you're doing on the outside starts inside. So stop doing it to yourself. Like, hold the door open for yourself and say thank you. Isn't that a thought?
And it's part of being kind to yourself as well as everybody else. Brichelle, this hour has gone way too fast.
I know. There's still so much we have to talk about, and I'm excited for it. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Thank you for those of you who have stayed and listened this whole time. We love you so much, and make sure that you're keeping up with us and up to date, because we're going to be doing a lot more of this, so you can get to know me and Kevin and who we really are, and all about why we're here. So,
and if you feel so inclined, feel free to leave a comment to let us know if you enjoyed this episode of basically Brichelle and I just talking about. And by the way, this is not an act. We do this all the time, every day, and we teach each other so much. And she is becoming my best teacher, and I want to thank her for that.
Well, thanks. I had the best teacher to learn how to do that. So be open to yourselves, people. Be willing to learn. Be willing to be the teacher of yourself, even though that's hard. And decide what you tell yourself you deserve, because it's probably not true.
And if you don't love yourself, you're not capable of loving somebody else. So love yourself first, and then be free and kind with the love that you share.
And if somehow you do love someone more than yourself, would they want you to love yourself that same way? Think about that.
Holy crap. That's really good.
You know what changed that for me, Kevin, is I thought the people that I love the most around me, would they love me the way I love me and the way that I love them? It wasn't true. So I dropped it, and now I'm new.
And you're blossoming. And I'm going to leave you with this before we play our last. This is called The Seed, and she is blossoming into an incredible flower. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A tiny seed was buried in the dirt, covered in darkness, forgotten by the world. But within that darkness, it grew roots, then sprouted into something beautiful. The seasons of struggle you face are not endings. They're beginnings. Trust that growth is happening, even when you cannot see it. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope live. And Brichelle, you get the last word.
Love yourself. Try to love yourself and see what it's like. I promise it's worth it.
Look in the mirror and say, I love you.
And let us know what that's like. We'll be back next week, everybody. We love you, and we've got so much more of life to share. Remember that we need you here too, and your life matters. So yes, look at yourself in the mirror, say I love you, and really experience it. And then share it with somebody.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. I looked in the mirror. Look half bad.
If you can do it, then we're gonna start that. If I can do it, you can do it, and it's gonna be global. So I challenge everybody to take this on themselves, and then when you successfully complete that, share it.
Thank you, Brichelle. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.